Hi, Sophie.
Hi, Sin.
Hi, everyone. And welcome to the Snack Covenant, episode 255.
We're approaching that 8-bit integer.
What?
Let's keep going.
And today we're going to talk about some rumors surrounding the Silent Hill series. Sophie.
Yes, Sin.
So, the TLDR is that Konami,
Yeah.
who owns Silent Hill,
Yeah.
has announced a strategic cooperation agreement with Bloober Team. And Bloober Team has made Silent Hill-inspired games in the past.
Right.
So now, everybody's speculating, does it mean a new Silent Hill is coming? That's it, that's the news. That's all that's happening.
Good. This was worth making a video.
No, I have more, don't worry.
Oh, good. I hope you have more.
There are people who listen to us exclusively for our MD Guys coverage,
That's true.
so they may not be aware of this whole Silent Hill situation, so I thought we could quickly catch them up on what's going on.
Right.
Silent Hill is this giant franchise that originated from a survival horror game. Do you know what the horror game was called?
Sweet Home. Hi, Sophie here. Sweet Home is a Japan-exclusive Famicom game based on a movie that's also called Sweet Home. If you play it today, you might think to yourself, wow, this is kind of like if someone remade the original Resident Evil in RPG Maker. That's because both games were made by Capcom, and the original Resident Evil is, in many ways, an attempt to remake Sweet Home for modern hardware without any ties to the original film. The major difference is that while Resident Evil ends with you fighting a Hellraiser-esque biomonster with a rocket launcher, Sweet Home ends with the final boss of Earthbound. Back to the podcast.
So the first Silent Hill game was released in 1999, and it was, I guess, pretty popular, probably revolutionary. Can't remember that far back.
Oh god, this has gone from, why did we record this? She's got one thing to say to, no, she's got notes, to you saying, I don't remember anything about Silent Hill. It's a roller coaster ride for me. It's probably a roller coaster ride for the audience.
But yeah, Silent Hill has games, it has sequels, it has remakes, it has movies, it has merchandise. It's a pretty big deal. Kinda like Tomb Raider, I guess.
This is a big deal. Kind of like Tomb Raider.
Now, obviously a franchise of that size is gonna have cancelled projects.
Yes.
And one of those cancelled projects was a game called Silent Hills. In 2014, PT, a free playable teaser for Silent Hills, appeared on the PlayStation Network.
Yes, it did.
And PT is a first-person walking simulator, essentially. It consists of the protagonist just like looping around the same room and hallways over and over with occasional like narration and jump scares. And like, I think if you imagine it this way, it's like not super exciting and like, oh, it's not very interesting. But no, Sophie, it was amazing.
Okay.
It was so scary. I could not play it. I had to watch other people play it and I was still terrified. Yeah, so the playable teaser was really amazing. It was minimalistic, but it was horrifying and it was just awesome. And Silent Hills, the game that the teaser is of, was going to be directed by Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro.
Yep.
And the protagonist was going to be played by Norman Reedus.
Yes.
So the trailer being so good and all these cool people working on it, it generated a certain amount of hype. Reasonably so, I think.
Yeah.
But then, in October of 2015, Sophie, Kojima left Konami.
I remember that. He left quite spectacularly.
Yeah.
He photoshopped himself blowing up Konami headquarters.
Oh my god! As a result of that, I guess, Silent Hills was cancelled. But it's not all bad, Sophie, because, also in 2015, Konami announced Silent Hill-themed pachinko machines.
Hi, Sophie here. Until roughly 12 hours ago, Sin thought pachinko machines and gachapon machines were the same thing, and that I was therefore qualified to discuss pachinko machines, because that's apparently where I was winning all of my bug keychains and Pusheen minifigs. For reference, a gachapon machine is basically a vending machine that gives you Kinder Egg toys, while a pachinko machine is kind of like a pinball machine, except instead of hitting the ball back up using paddles, you try to catch the balls in little baskets. At the time of recording, there are no Silent Hill gachapon machines, presumably because it would cheapen the series' brand. However, I'm almost certain that at some point there'll be a virtual Silent Hill gacha mobile game where you can win an anime girl dressed as Pyramid Head. Back to the podcast.
So now, Sophie, let's talk about Bloober Team. Bloober Team is a Polish video game developer. And they have a few horror games under their belt, like Layers of Fear, Observer, Blair Witch. And Bloober has talked about taking elements from the Silent Hill series for their games. And we know that Layers of Fear was heavily inspired by PT. And The Medium, the one they released this year, has been called a spiritual successor to Silent Hill by people.
Right.
Now, whether or not it's like a successful spiritual successor, that's another story, but comparisons have been made.
Right.
But also Akira Yamaoka, one of the composers from the Silent Hill series, worked on The Medium.
Right, okay.
So, like, there's all these things that clearly Bloober Team is, like, in love with Silent Hill.
Right, yeah.
And on a side note, they made a game called Basement Crawl. And it's basically just, like, creepy Bomberman. I looked it up and it literally looks like somebody just took Bomberman and gave it different skins or whatever to make it look like a horror game, I guess.
It's more of a Bomberman successor than Bomberman Act Zero, is what you're saying. Hi, Sophie here. I referenced Bomberman Act Zero, which was a very lazy and unfunny thing for me to do, and I'm now paying the price because Sin wants me to explain what Bomberman Act Zero is. So, Bomberman Act Zero is a gritty, dark reboot of Bomberman, which was a very cute game, and in Bomberman Act Zero, they make Bomberman into a sort of like dark, gritty cyborg man, and it's funny because the original Bomberman is not like that. Me mentioning it is the sort of thing you would have seen in like a gaming webcomic, like about 15 years ago. They would say, "Oh, Bomberman's a dark, gritty cyborg now. What other things could be dark, gritty cyborgs?" And they'd show like Spyro the Dragon or something, and he'd be dark and gritty, and that would be the joke. And that comic would update Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so you'd have between 48 and 72 hours to get that joke. So that's Bomberman Act Zero. I should not have mentioned it. I know better now than to interrupt Sin when she's talking. This is the last one of the notes I have to do, and I promise that next time I reference like a stupid video game to her, I'll put a bit more thought into it. Thank you for your patience throughout this podcast. We'll go back to the podcast now, and hopefully next time I see you, it will be better. I'm sorry.
And so Konami literally just announced the partnership with Bloober Team.
Right.
And Bloober Team CEO was like super happy.
The CEO of the company has said they're just super happy. It's been so good. Our new product gonna be really cute. Konami are our new besties.
Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you, Sin.
Yeah, but basically when prompted for like more information, nobody revealed what project specifically they're working on.
Okay.
But okay, here's where the story thickens.
Right.
Earlier this year,
Right.
Bloober Team CEO was like, hey, we've been working for more than a year on another game project, another horror IP, and we're doing this with a very famous game publisher. And then they were like, I can't tell you who, I can't tell you what the project is, but I'm pretty sure when people realize we're working on it, they will be very excited.
Oh.
So like, all these things together, I can see how it's like, it appears that they're working on something Silent Hill related.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I know nothing and you've got me convinced.
Do you think there's a chance that they will try to make PT into a game?
What would that even be, though? Because, like, didn't PT kind of become Death Stranding? I guess. Like, even if, like, they retain the rights to Silent Hill, like, would they... PT was a hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think they're gonna expand this into a whole mansion of hallways?
Okay, what's actually happened is they're partnering with Newgrounds. That's the famous publisher, and they're doing a PS4 remake of the classic Arise games that were literally you walking around in hallways, but it was all in Flash. And basically you just had to find keys, but occasionally a JPEG of a Halloween mask would appear. Arise lost to time now that Flash isn't supported.
No.
This is not a test. I put this here to test you.
What does that mean?
The first line from Arise. Would you believe that you have to solve some puzzles to get a code to open a door, and the code is 666? So that's my bet. We're getting a full HD remake of Arise.
Sophie, do the outro.
That was the Snack Coven in episode 255. There was allegedly news about Silent Hill from Bloober Team. I didn't know anything, but it's somehow 20 minutes long. I don't know how much of this will make it in, but she made her point in the first, I'd say, 30 seconds. The rest of it was, even calling it a digression, I think, is giving it too much credit.
Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you, Sin.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. See y'all next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.